the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution. From Cowork 591 Studios, this is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. I'm Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for May 6th, May Day.
May 6th, May Day, May 6th. Did you know that Heartland, I was in there today to pay my phone bill and pick up another piece of paper, and they had all kinds of May baskets in there. People just say, here, take a May basket.
Missed it.
Yeah. So
2024.
Yeah.
Tonight we have a short show. We have famous musician, Hall of Fame musician Bill Lake with us. Dale talks about local news.
Right.
And I talk about Jesup teacher Rick Whittenburg. So, Dale, what do you have for the news?
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a rumor going around through the state that I'm starting tonight that now that the governor and the legislature have armed the teachers, they're now going to arm the parents. And I found the very article they're using to base this on. Okay.
You did?
I did, yes.
Really?
Yes. This is by Beatrice Dexter. It says, fed up with her son's failing grades, a peeved parent is trying a new approach to learning. She's forcing her sons to study at gunpoint. According to a newspaper, Maria Petit, 44, makes her two teenage sons spend at least 3 hours a night doing their homework or else. They know their mother means business because she winged Guido, 12, just last month when he told her he was sick and tired of studying. They've got to know I'm really serious this time, said Mrs. Patty, whose boys have been ordered to attend school this summer to make up their poor grades. Guido has already been held back twice, and Luigi's been in the 6th grade for 3 years. They never do homework, but that's going to change. I want my kids to be successes in life, but if they keep on the way they're going, they'll never even graduate from school. I'd rather hurt one than have him turn out stupid. Better dead than dumb. That's what I say. Mrs. Patty's hard-nosed approach to education is just what modern kids need, this housewife believes. She says since she began her gun-toting vigil in April, 14-year-old Luigi's grades have gone up considerably, and Guido has earned his first A. Although news of her shotgun study hall has brought her condemnation from education specialists all over Europe, Mrs. Patty says she's convinced her shotgun study hall works. You have to be willing to fire on the children if they challenge you, she said from her home. Otherwise, the study sessions won't be productive. So you heard it here first, folks. Next year in Iowa, they'll be arming the parents. In Jesup News, wanted to keep reminding you about Saturday, May 11th, is the citywide cleanup day, and that's at the 10th Street City Shop. It's at the east end of Young Street. There's no curbside pickup or anything. You have to deliver it, and it's only for Jesup, City of Jesup residents. And remember, there's a $12 fee for stoves, dryers, freezers, any kind of appliances like that, refrigerators, trash compactors, dehumidifiers, heat pumps, dishwashers, furnaces, hot water heaters, air conditioners, microwave ovens, humidifiers, batteries, and garbage disposals. And if you have a television you want to get rid of, an old one, they'll charge you $5 for that. And they cannot accept tires, paint thinner, insecticides or pesticides, oil, solvents, hazardous materials of any type of gas or diesel fuel, shingles, no perishable consumable goods. And all those kind of things can be taken to there's a hazardous waste collection point north of Independence, out on the curves there. And they advertise in the Bulletin Journal quite often. There's a number to call to make an appointment to drop that kind of stuff off. And it's real easy to do. They'll take batteries and that kind of stuff. Also want to remind you the Jesup Veterans Park on the corner of 6th and South Street is starting fundraising, and they've raised quite a bit of money already. And they have these pavers for sale that you can get to honor a veteran from $100, $150, or $200, depending on the size you want. And if you want to make a donation, they'll also take those at City Hall, or you can contact Fritz Keys through the Legion. And I heard that Mickey D's has a food truck, and Mr. Miller's food truck are both going to be at Farmers Day, and they will donate 10% of their proceeds to the Veterans Park, so you might want to consider going to their food truck. Speaking of food trucks, I have the May food truck schedule.
Thank you.
Which you probably don't have.
I don't have.
All right. On the 6th, that's today, 11 to 2. Are we out yet? We don't come out till 1. Okay, forget that. On the 9th, Fat Roy's Mexican, 11 to 4. Okay. Fat Roy has some good stuff. And Judy's food truck is on the 10th from 11 to 4. And I'll go another week. Two Wavy Catering, 11 to 4 on the 13th. The 14th is the Dragon Express from 11 to 2, and Charboom's Barbecue. I've never done, I should do that this time, on the 17th. Okay, so we'll stop there. But so there's 2 more the following week and 3 more the last week in May.
What day is the 17th on?
A Friday.
So remind me of that. Give me a call, Dale, and I might even buy you lunch.
You? I mean, you would. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you.
Go.
That's really nice.
Blake, if you can get out of the office that day, we'll include you.
And I have a little bit of new library news. What did I say, lose? Okay, library news. They're having their annual Friends of the Library membership drive, and they sent out a letter. And you can join Friends of the Library, and that helps. They buy prizes for the summer reading program. They help with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, the Adventure Pass, as well as buying the gingerbread houses in December and other treats and supplies for the kids. So when the kids come and do these projects, a lot of the things that they are able to do is because the friends donate the money to buy those things. They're not in the regular library budget. And so you can join just for a year for $10, or you can get a complete lifetime, a couple lifetime for $200 and help out the Friends of the Library. So a real good thing to do. And then a program they have coming up is called Bubbles, Brews, and Bites. That's May 14th from 5 to 7 at the Jesup Public Library. And the 42 Degrees North Winery and Allerton Brewery. Now, I know you're a big fan of Allerton Brewery. Do you know 42 Degrees North Winery? Or
I haven't been there. I've heard of it.
Okay, I'm not. So, okay. So please join us for an informal wine and beer tasting with hors d'oeuvres and live music. And then they also invite you to come and explore all the things the library has. So that's May 14th is the library news we have today.
What do they have planned for live music?
They didn't say.
Okay.
Maybe you're there humming your favorite tunes. No, I don't know. It doesn't say. It just says live music.
Live music, okay.
So you have to go check it out.
Oh, I worked
to see if
that
we're
day.
there. Okay. Also in May, this year we're having a Memorial Day service, and I know that Mr. Gillespie was responsible for organizing that for many years when he was at school, and Mr. Humiston before that, right?
Mr. Baldwin.
Mr. Baldwin? Okay. Well, I have some programs that were Mr. Humiston's name is in, too, so I think he must have done some of them.
Yeah.
But that will be on May 27th. Usually that's around 10 to 10:15. There'll be a service out there, just a short service with the Legion, and usually Nancy Ekholm sings, and we have a short little reading. And that'll be on Memorial Day, May 27th. And you might remember last few years we've been putting, the Farmers Day guys and the firemen have been putting flags up, and they'll be all along Hawley Street, clear out to the cemetery. Then also we're putting them on, must be on 5th Street down to Main Street on Young Street this year also. So you'll see that parade of flags in town. So I think it's awe-inspiring. All those flags flapping like that. So, okay, the Lions Club Car Cruise is coming up. That's June the 2nd. And on Farmers Day, we'll be serving donuts and ice cream down there that day, and with all the other food things that they have. And then the Heartland Technology has their customer appreciation. Usually when they have their annual meeting, they have prizes and this sort of door prizes and other things. Well, they did not do that this year. They were going to have a customer appreciation night on June the 6th from 4 to 6 o'clock. And we're going to be doing donuts and ice cream at that also. So that'll be customer appreciation night down at the Farmers Day, June 20, 21, 22 is coming up. And we have some things confirmed. This Cowboy Shootout will be happening 4, 5, 6 times over the 3 days. And the 5K run is all set up, and they're donating a lot of the proceeds from that to a program up at school that will benefit runners. And the Civil War Campgrounds is taking place, and they'll be camping out and be available with all their old-timey stuff to answer questions and talk to people about the different things they do. So that'll be pretty good. Happened this last week. There were a bunch of volunteers under Mary Steuben and Ruth Snyder. They're master gardeners, and they had a grant to buy, and they bought 37 very nice trees, and all of them just like $150 trees. I mean, they're very nice trees. And ag classes and science classes provided the kids over the course of the day, and there were a bunch of us that volunteered to help plant these trees. So if you go on Prospect up there around the Ball Diamonds, you'll see these 37 trees that they have planted, and in a few years. That'll look really nice up there. And so, when's the best time to plant a tree, Jimmy?
In the spring or the fall?
Wrong.
When is it?
Yeah, 50 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Or tomorrow. I shouldn't mess with you.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right. I like that. 50 years ago.
50 years ago was the best time. So, okay. And if we have a minute, my son-in-law lives in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And several years ago, my son-in-law has a theater company, the Professional Youth Theater. And so he does a lot of work with theater. And several years ago, he hired a guy to do some lighting work for him. Well, this guy now works for a big company in California that works for the movies. Well, that company got the contract to build the sets for the NFL draft in Detroit.
Oh, my.
And so Drew and his brother got a call, and so they worked those 3 days building sets, and they said, who better than theater people to build temporary sets that they can use that look real good and then can easily be taken down when it's all done. And so he got 3 days of work out of that, and he and his brother is a big sports guy, so he was just enthralled with seeing all these old NFL guys and these college guys. He knew all of them by name and everything.
Yeah.
And so it's just great. So, it's funny how one thing, you meet one guy and that leads to something that leads to something. So anyway, they've already asked them next year to go to Green Bay and build the sets up there when they have the NFL draft. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Well, the numbers
yeah.
I'm hearing, there were 700,000 people in Detroit.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And but it's amazing how they pay attention to detail, because there was a locker on this one set, and there was supposed to be a football jersey hanging in it, and it wasn't hanging just right. The director, producer, whatever, and so they just told Drew, we need that higher and more puffed out and this sort of thing, and they walked away, so he had to do that. And so he said, seeing that on TV later on, kind of a good feeling,
Right.
that he had done that. But the attention to detail in those things is magnificent. So anyway, that's kind of the city news for Jesup for early in May, okay?
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Some of our sponsors are Perez Concrete, the Littleton Lounge LLC, the Littleton Chatham Historical Society, Laces, Joe and Judy Olson, Independence Bulletin Journal, Derek's Repair, Keith Bickert, Jacobson Fabrication and Repair LLC, and even Events and Rental LLC, Thomas James LLC, and Boyd's Food Truck. Mickey D's Pizza and Lifestyle are sponsoring the Steve Brown Arts Center this year out at Littleton Watermelon Day. Dream Chaser Acres, Bobby Leach and Farm Bureau Financial Services, M&M Bakery in Lawrence, Kansas. Innovative Wealth Management, and Cowork 591 as always. The Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and we're real fortunate tonight to have a Hall of Famer with us. Bill Lake from Independence, Iowa, a musician that's in actually 2 halls. So Bill, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Bill, how long have you been playing music?
Playing in bands since I was in 7th and 8th grade, and then I took a decade off to have a family.
Who was your? Do you remember your your middle school music teacher?
Yeah, my middle school music teacher was a guy by the name of Bruce Binger. He was kind of instrumental in trying stuff, and so we did. It was kind of interesting. Some of the classmates that we had that thought they wanted to play in bands weren't serious enough, so we went through several till we found the right group of people that were serious enough to rehearse and figure it out. But we did have to get a 16-year-old lead singer because he had a Corvair car that would haul us to the gig down the road.
That's very important.
Yes, first gig in 8th grade, I think we each got $10 a piece or something like that.
Yeah.
What school? Where did you grow up, Bill?
I grew up in Sac City, Iowa, so Sac County seat town, if you will. Back then it was 2,500, maybe 3,000. Today it's probably 1,800.
So did you have a guitar, bass, drum band, or did you have some horns, or?
No, it would have been guitar, bass, and drums.
Okay.
Basically, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember the first song that you guys played?
Yeah, Gloria. Gloria. You remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I heard that group sing that at Disneyland years ago.
Oh, is that right?
Years ago, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. You can remember that.
That's a great song.
Yeah. Do you still have that in your repertoire?
We do not.
Yeah.
We only got 160 songs that Plug Nickel plays. I mean, that we've done. That's not one of them.
Yeah.
So that's a band. The band that you're in now is Plug Nickel.
Yes, I think it was about 2014. They asked me if I knew of any drummers. I was a drummer in 5th grade through the rest of high school and played trap set and that kind of thing. So would you like an older guy in the band? And so I went and tried out, and I played drums with him for about a year and a half, 2 years. And one of the guitar players decided he was going to give it up. And so I said, can I come up front and sing and play guitar? So then we switched and got a new drummer, and that was about 2016, I think.
So would you name the people in Plug Nickel with you?
Sure. Myself and the original 2 guys in this band, it's had a couple different names, but is John Davis does lead vocals, and Scott Belts plays guitars, several. He has acoustic and electric and all that kind of thing. Tom Maximovich plays bass, does vocals as well, so does Scott on guitar. And our drummer is Matt Leisinger. He plays drums for us, and he's a younger guy. They have a new baby at their house, and he works for East Buchanan Telephone. He's like their second in command over there, so he keeps busy.
Are the drummers the hardest to find these days? Or?
Yes and no. Yes, they're hard to find to get good ones that are steady. A lot of people can play drums, but sometimes it's a little more challenging to keep it steady.
Yeah.
You know, and we're all guilty of speeding up and slowing down, that kind of thing. But yeah, you can find them.
Yeah, because I know the neighbor kid years ago, they had a band and they lost their drummer, and they had to go to like a drum kit or not an actual player, but some kind of electronic
or a keyboard that made drums.
To keep the beat.
Yeah,
they had to do that because it was so hard to find.
Sure.
Guys that could play the drums.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
So how many instruments can you play, Bill?
Well, I'm going to say that I'm a jack of all trades and master of none, because I've played guitar, bass, electric violin, keyboard, drums, even been the front man vocal singer for bands throughout the years. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything, but I'm not claiming to be real good on any of it.
Well, we've been doing it a long time, though, so somebody must think you do a good job.
You can fool a lot of people if you know the right stuff, you know.
So the electric violin, I've always...
Yeah, no, I haven't done that for years, but when I was in college, I did that. There were some bands back then that had electric violin.
So that under the chin kind of thing, and it's plugged in.
And then you had to plug it in, get electrified. Then you could also do things with the sound on it with wah-wah pedals and all kinds of distortion and fun stuff. So
what's harder to learn, the electric violin or the guitar?
Electric, the violin is harder. The reason being there's no frets on a violin. You have to play the whole fretboard with no frets. The guitars all have frets on them, so it's 5th fret, 3rd fret, 12th fret, 10th fret. So it's different, but it is. I think it's harder than guitar. Somebody that plays good violin probably says, "Oh no, that's the hardest thing by far I've ever tried to do."
Yeah,
that I imagine.
So do you sight read or?
I can read music. I hate to say this, but I prefer not to.
So usually you just pick it up from listening to it?
I rely on my ear,
yeah. Okay.
I can read, pick up a hymnal and read the thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then, but I'd rather just listen to the record, and then right away you can say, oh, that song's in the key of D, and there's going to be the 3 major chords in it, and then there'll be some bridge in the middle that's different. Normally when you listen to it the first or second time, you know what key it's in, and away you go.
I find that so amazing that people can do that. I really do.
It's not perfect pitch. I don't have that, and I don't want that. 'Cause that can be a sore subject. Everything sounds out of tune.
Yeah. I have a grandson that can just pick it up like that, and
Right.
the people are saying to him, you do need to learn to sight read, though, because when you go audition for different things, that's one of the things they'll ask you to do.
In front of you, you have to read it.
Yeah.
I remember
and
that.
So he's finally found somebody that's teaching him,
Sure.
so he can pass those kind of auditions and everything. So
let's talk about the Hall of Fame here. In 2011, what was the process of you going in the Hall of Fame, the Iowa Hall?
Okay,
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The band, The Expressions, how I got connected with them, and it started as a band up in Fenton, Iowa, which is up by Algona, and it was 2 brothers and an uncle, long time ago. And back in about 80 or so, I was working for a retail music store in Fort Dodge, and one of the brothers was working there. And this uncle wasn't working out so good, and so they said, would you come play with us some night? He couldn't play or something. So I did, and about 2 more nights of the uncle, and then they said, well, we want you to come play with us. So I started playing with them at that point and thought it was going to be a year or 2, and it was almost 10 years, a little over 9 years. And we played all over, Iowa, Minnesota, that kind of thing. within 100-mile radius or so of Algona. You know? And they're still playing today. And when they went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there was a series of people that had been in the band, and so when they went in, everybody that was associated with the band went up there, and they had a concert, and they always do a Sunday night concert up there with all the bands that get in, and then there's usually kind of a national group there. And the year we were there, it was a band called Head East. Some people might remember them, an album, Flat as a Pancake, was the typical rock music from back then. So that was kind of fun to visit and talk with them and get to know how they named their band and all the crazy stories they had.
Right.
So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they look at your band, like, do you play you do 50 stuff or 60 stuff, or do you go past that or into the more modern?
Well, they have everything.
Okay, they go all the way.
Because I went up to the concert this past year, and obviously since 2011, it has changed. The music has gotten newer and newer and newer, and I'll admit there were some things there that, I don't know, it didn't seem as musical to me as what I call some things, but it is a genre of music that people listen to, and so the bands were doing a great job on that. It's just not exactly my favorite cup of tea. But there's also some kind of blues and blues rock and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, basically, you're going to have bands that do everything from Buddy Holly type stuff, all the way up till there'll be some bands playing things that are probably on the radio in the last 2 or 3 years. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Well, Jim and I haven't listened to radio music for 10 years at least.
I don't know who does anymore, except me.
But you think, like, you have the rock and roll, the late 50s, early 60s rock and roll, but then you have like Johnny Mathis singing too, and that's in the rock and roll era, but you wouldn't really call that rock and roll. It's more like love songs. It could have been from the 40s even.
Adult contemporary,
I think
that today.
It's just what...
If you look at the top 10 or 20 hits or something from like 1975, or you look at that, it's like, those are all in the same group. And like you say, there's such a combination of different styles where now they've broken that out into, different genres.
Yeah, okay.
It's funny because with TikTok and all of this social media, there are hit songs from 20 years ago that are on the charts now.
Yeah.
that the kids are finding today. It's awful neat. It's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, it really is. And so many times my kids and other people have said, you're lucky you grew up when you did, because that was the best music.
Yeah.
By far the best music.
Yeah.
And of course now if you watch any television, you hear everything from ZZ Top doing the Chevrolet pickup commercials to you name it. There's just, those old songs they're using today because baby boomers are getting older.
Yeah. I know my kids used to be amazed because I could sing along with some of their music, and that song is from 1950. That's why I know the words. And so a lot of them are redone, and they just jazz them up a little bit or whatever. And I always like the originals for some reason. But
Bill, what draws you so much to music?
I don't know. I guess I'm going to almost say it's a therapy. No matter what you're doing, I mean, whether it's working, I mean, I run a business, but everybody's got some sort of stress and strain. But families, whatever's going on, music for me is therapy. I mean, I think probably when I was a little kid, my first kind of exposure was in third grade. The small town I was in had a community theater, and they were going to do The King and I. So they came to the third grade class, and there was about 90 of us in there, and they said, we need 12 kids to be the kids in this community theater production. So as they went around, the music teacher picked the kids, and I was one of them. So all of a sudden, 4 nights in a row, I'm one of the kids singing and doing the thing on the stage. It's like, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
This is all right.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah.
And then going through school and everything from singing solos on the Sioux City TV station at Christmas concert, that kind of thing. So
you mentioned earlier that you took time off to have a family, and this is being a traveling musician, is that hard on families?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I mean, one of the bands that when I was at UNI, every time I went to school at Fort Dodge, I started a band there when I was at junior college at Iowa Central, and was also in their show choir. That was an experience that was kind of fun. But at UNI, I was a founding member of a group called Nasty Jack, which is pretty well known back in the day. And 1 year together, we write some songs, we're performing, and in the recording studio, and the rest of the band want to go on tour and leave. I'm finishing school, I'm married, I'm not going, I'm sorry. And so that changed things, and they got somebody else and they went. That happens a lot, but the people that do go on the road, then you get to hear the real story. Yes, the performing's fun, but the rest of it's not quite as glamorous as you'd think.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing I always wondered about, like there was the Classics Four.
Yep.
Then all at once they were Dennis Yost in the Classic Four, and after that, the band broke up. They were no more. And it seemed like whenever they pick a guy out of the band and put his name up front,
Right.
they're not long for this world. And
Sure.
is that when you form a band, do you have a contract, or like you get a quarter, I get a quarter, you get a quarter, or something like that, or how does it? The lead singer
every
gets
band
more.
does
or-
their own thing.
Okay.
I mean, as an example, if you work with Bon Jovi, it's Bon Jovi, you're an employee.
Yeah.
Other bands, it's all percentages and so on and so forth. One of the bands that was around years ago, Starship, Mickey Thomas was a singer for them. He has a group called Starship featuring Mickey Thomas that still tours today. That guy can still sing these notes. It'll break the lights in here. They're so high.
Yeah.
Oh my! And are they good?
Yeah.
I saw them about 3 years ago. Wow, are they good? Yeah. But he's one of the only. Him and the drummer is the only original guy.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there was a movie where it was Young Elvis or something, and the two, he had a bass player and a drum player, I think, with him, and Elvis got 50%, and the other two split the other 50%.
Right.
And I always wondered, how they, when they were just getting started, that's how they worked it out,
Yeah.
Because they said, well, he gets the most money because he's the show.
Right.
And that was
right. Yeah, you'll see all kinds of arrangements that way. I mean, I know some other local bands kind of like us, and what happens is no matter what the band gets paid, these guys all get X number of dollars. The person that does the booking and the person that coordinates everything, they keep the rest. So some nights they're getting a lot more than everybody else. Other nights about the same. It
Right.
just depends.
And there's been a lot of shady practices with like these young musicians in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
And have you ever run anything like that where people were upset about management or venue operators?
Maybe
or,
it's been long enough I can tell this story. When I was in high school, I'll never forget. And we were playing around from old Nebraska and South Dakota and Iowa and whatnot. We go to this job, and we were young, like 16 at the time. There's a 17, 18-year-old guy from another little rural town down the road that was going to manage us. So we drive to this town 35 miles away, and there's quite a crowd starting to gather. I said, boy, this is really nice, And he says, well, yeah, he says, I added a couple things on the poster. I said, you what? There was an ad in their local newspaper. He said we'd just come back on tour being with Steppenwolf. I said, don't you know we can get sued? What are you doing? So, just a funny sideline note.
Yeah. Sure.
And that was the last time he ever booked our band.
I'm sure, yeah. So,
Yeah. This is the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network. We're with Bill Lake. And Bill, what was the process of going into the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How did that
Well,
all
basically
go?
what happens, and I'll admit I really didn't have much to do with that. I live over here, and they're all on the western side of the state where we're from originally. But your band gets nominated, and then it's how many ever people vote for you, and so on and so forth. This Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing has been around, gosh, I'm going to say 20, 25 years or so. But anyway, it's all headquartered up at Arnold's Park, and they have a museum up there and all kinds of stuff. But the process, like I say, once your band's nominated, then you get all these votes, and whoever gets all the votes and that kind of thing, that's who goes in that year. And it's not impossible to go in with several different bands. I know guys have gone in with 3 different bands, because they played in that many bands over there. But it's for the whole state, because there are bands from Iowa City and all over. But it's a ways from here to go up to Okoboji.
Yeah. So you're also in the Midwest Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, it's the Midwest Music Hall of Fame.
Music Hall.
And the difference is there's about 5 states in that, and that's a lot of different genres of music. So there's like classic rock, there's bluegrass, there's country, a little bit of everything in there. So, and that's based on how many years you've played and so on and so forth. And it's sort of the same kind of layout where you get nominated and then people vote for you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this all happened long after I played with these guys, and they're still playing today. They do like 10 or 15 jobs a year. And this summer there's that little town of Fenton where they started is having the town's 150th celebration. So all of us that played in that are going back, and they're doing a 4-hour show. And each person's going to come up that was during this period of time, and we're going to do 4 songs with them, and then the next group and the next group.
Oh,
so
cool.
it'd be like history of the town and the group.
oh, sure.
It'll be kind of fun.
Now, do you still practice every day, or like guitar or anything, or is it?
I'd love
how
to,
long
but
can
I
you
don't-
take off and then just jump right in?
Well, we the band I'm in, we played December and decided we weren't going to play anymore until April, and I went south for 6 weeks. And
Yeah.
but no, I don't practice every day
Okay.
by any means.
Yeah.
I do have to practice some because I'm also one of the music directors of the Purple team out at Prairie Lakes Church. So I snagged our bass player and drummer and some
Yeah.
other people, and then we coordinate that, and every 3 weeks that group's on out there. So.
Okay, so you do get to play some then. Huh?
Yeah, and I mean, I would, you ask how much I practice. Yeah, there were times where I used to practice 10 or 20 hours a week, but no, now it's whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, and when you get together with these bands that you played with for so many times, it just kind of all comes together like it did before.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
I mean, when we do this thing this summer, this will go back a few years, but
Yeah.
we'll probably pick the 4 best songs that I did back in 1988 or whatever, and that's what I'll do. So, but it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
We'll go through them probably twice in the afternoon, and we'll be ready.
Ready to go. Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
It's like riding a bike,
I guess so. I would think. Yeah, I think that's really great.
except for singing. Voices are not as high the older you get.
Yeah, because you hear some of these classic guys and they're still making the rounds in their 70s even, and they don't go quite as much as they
Boy,
used to.
I saw the Eagles here about 5-6 years ago
Yeah.
down in Des Moines, and just great, just sounded super good. And I'm looking at my phone, it's like, geez, all these guys are 70, 72. It's like, wow, they really sound good.
Well, they show a little bit of the Stones. They're on a tour now. And
I know.
Mick Jagger, they're all older than I am, I think.
Jagger's 81. isn't
Yeah,
he?
and he's
Or
still out
80.
there jumping around, and it was just a little 10-second clip, but he's out there jumping around and, strike me or start me up and this sort of thing.
Yep, start me
and
up.
say, so those guys, I don't think they play, consecutive nights ever, but
I know.
I
they're
just think
playing
it's
in
amazing.
Chicago, and I've never seen them.
They're still on tour.
toying with getting tickets. My
Yeah.
wife and I were talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You were talking about Bon Jovi earlier, and he was on National Public Radio yesterday,
Oh, okay.
and he's coming off of vocal cord surgery.
Exactly.
And they did a documentary on that. He is working to get his voice back,
Sure.
but he's singing again.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let him do surgery because he didn't want to lose the ability to
Right.
sing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he couldn't, like you
Yeah.
say, because
he ended
of
up
his
doing
age.
it, not knowing how it'd turn out.
Yeah.
And there was an hour ABC program Sunday night about that.
There
I
was.
guess there's a documentary 4 parts on Hulu. I haven't seen it, but
So
Well, the Julie Andrews actually had a lawsuit because
Yep.
they had surgery that messed up her voice. It
Right.
wasn't supposed to, and because she had a beautiful
Sure.
voice. Maybe she still does. I don't know, but it was just
yeah, no, she could
Fantastic.
never sing after that,
Yeah,
and so she started writing books with her daughter and some
Yeah.
other stuff.
Yeah.
But Steven Tyler broke his larynx, the guy from Aerosmith. Now it's like, I wonder if he'll be
Yeah.
back doing his thing because he's 76.
Well, they had Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden
That
the
was
other
great,
night,
yeah.
and he still sounds really good.
He
and
sounded really good.
He gets up there, and so I guess last time Christy Brinkley was in the audience, and he sang "Uptown Girl" just for her.
there you go. Bill, have you ever written any of your own music?
Oh yeah, all the different bands that we went into recording studios with, we recorded our own music. So I don't know, I've probably written 30 or 40 songs
Okay.
throughout the years. It's interesting. Everybody has a different process when they do that. And style-wise, I guess one time when I was in the show choir at Iowa Central Community College, they needed a filler program. So they would do 3 nights in this auditorium with 2,000 people or something. So back then I had very long hair, so I wrote this song about a guy that sat around and, he would stop to get a coffee at a coffee shop as a truck driver, and he had long hair, and they started hassling about his hair. So it's kind of a country satire
Right.
tune, and so those are some of those, and then some are more serious songs, and some are very difficult, intricate type songs to play. That it depends on your mood. Some people write the music first, then the lyrics. Some people do the lyrics first, then the music. All styles work. Sometimes they do it at piano, sometimes it's a guitar. It just
Yeah.
depends.
What is how many albums do you think you've been involved with?
Well, over the years, I've been in 3 different recording studios. We did not press any albums or anything like that. They call them demo tapes, basically.
Okay.
And now, they're on a digital stick versus, the old days when you had them on tape or whatever.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, 3 different times we did that. Once in Cedar Falls, once in Des Moines, and once in Ames. And they were all different bands. And it's interesting how recording works, and I've not been in a studio in recent years since everything's digital, so I can imagine how it's a lot better now than it used to be.
You know, we've had probably 2 or 3 groups performing here.
Mm-hmm.
Not in here, but
Right.
out
Sure.
in that area. And Blake does a nice job of getting a good
Sure,
sound.
mixing it down once
Yeah.
you get the raw sound.
Yeah, and you know, and they've been good groups. Powers and Belvance plays locally.
Sure.
They've been with us. Chet Reagan and his
Mandy McCleary.
Mandy McCleary is new.
Sure.
Did she take name or they
I
got
guess
married?
I've never heard that discussed. I have no idea.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll
Can you-
never underestimate the guy sitting over
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Oh.
Whether it's your sound man at a live
Yeah.
performance or
Yeah.
kind of the producer.
Yeah.
They can make or break you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. We understand. We understand that, don't we? Dave?
That's why 74 shows we're still here. So. Can you play an Alp horn?
I do not, but I know the Langs play a mean one.
Yeah, we
I
had them
played
here.
one in Switzerland
Did you
once,
really?
and my
Okay.
wife did too. I have a video of that, but I couldn't video myself and do it at the same
Yeah,
time.
I understand.
so-
Yeah. But we were amazed at what they could do with
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Because all we ever saw was the Ricola commercial, you know. But they had a nice tune that they played, and so
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to play at Farmers Day for us here in
Oh,
town.
are they?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be something.
Yeah,
That'll be
yeah.
interesting. Educational and entertaining.
Yeah. So speaking of your wife and your children, what's your wife's name? How many children do you have? Grandchildren?
Well,
etc.?
my wife's name is Sue or Susie, and we'll be married 50 years here on May 25th. So that's kind of a big
Congratulations.
deal. And we have 4 growing children. Nicholas, Joe, and James are boys. And then 10 years after that, we had a daughter, Abigail.
Oh.
And they're all married, and so we have 12 grandkids. 10 of them are granddaughters and a couple grandsons. So it's always a busy time at our house when we get together.
yeah.
Bet.
Any music prodigies in that group?
Oh,
or?
my oldest son, he plays a little bit of guitar, and he played in a church band with me. The Methodist Church had a band back in the 90s when they were doing a contemporary type service over there, and so he played guitar and bass in that, and got pretty proficient at it. And now I think he's the professional campfire song leader with a group of people that go camping. And sometimes he just makes up lyrics and
Well,
has fun.
sure.
They get to doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
That sounds great. Yeah.
Susie's not musical.
No. She would tell you no too, but she's supportive. Let's put it that way. She's
That's-
put up with me for all these
Yeah,
years.
that's good.
So, of all the places you played, what's the most memorable place, Bill, that you may have played?
I guess it's going to be a tie. Back when Kiss come out with a song, I Want to Rock and Roll All Night, we'd worked that up in a band I was in over at UNI, and they did an all-night dance marathon over there. And we were the opening band, and so we did our hour or whatever. And then when we were on the last song, we did that, and the song was just super big at the time. And I could not believe the place just erupted and went crazy. But
Yeah.
that was one. And then we played a 4th of July with Expressions one time over in Belmont, Iowa, out in either a racetrack or football field or something. But anyway, we didn't know what was going on. And they had invited us to do 3 hours music, which we did before the fireworks. But as it got dark, all of a sudden there's paratroopers coming down with, what do you call them, flares and
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah.
it's like, what is this all about? And then it's dark, and there's all these fireworks and stuff. And it's like, geez, there's a lot of people here. I read in the Des Moines Register the next day they estimated the crowd at 12,000. Well, that's a pretty good sized crowd.
Yeah, it really is. So.
kidding.
But
What is the most memorable thing that happened? That's got to be one of them.
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
paratroopers.
when I was in high school, we used to play up in South Dakota. I don't know how to word this delicately, but when you cross the Iowa line, things were a little bit different. And of course, there were colleges up in that area. So we would go up there and play Wednesday night, come home, go to school Thursday. Friday at noon, we would leave and go back up there and play Friday night and Saturday night at the same place. Those were pretty memorable. I mean, we had some wonderful times up there, you know, all the college kids, and we were in high school.
Yeah. Did you ever play, like we had Woodstock in Iowa, we had the Wadena Festival. You ever play those outdoor things? Everybody's outdoors?
Yeah, we did some outdoor things over there. They were smaller scale than Wadena, probably, with maybe some people.
Okay.
But the challenge with outdoors is it's better today because the instruments and amps and stuff don't take the power like they used to. Back then, the thing was to make sure you had enough power, like they did a cornstalk concert out in a cornfield. You had to have enough generators to make that work.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, we did a lot of those kinds of things. And
Okay.
usually you had 3 or 4 bands there, and good time.
Yeah. Okay.
Street dances are the fun thing today. We do a lot of those kind
Oh,
of things.
sure.
Yeah.
On the 4th of July at Independence, we'll do that again.
So where do you get the funky little musician hats I see? I've never seen one of those in the store, but it looks really neat. Some guys wear those, and they look really good on
Boston
them.
Scally is a place that sells a lot of them. I think I might have one hat from there. I just keep my eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
When I was out in Arizona a few months ago, when it was a little winter time, stumbled onto a place. I bought 6 hats while I was gone. Because when I see them, if I don't have one
Sure.
like that, then I'll get that.
Yeah.
And you got to have your summer weight ones and your winter weight ones. The wool ones are a little hot to wear in the summertime.
I bet they are, yeah.
And the other ones are a little chilly when it's 20 below outside.
Yeah.
But
What is a hat maker called? A habitat or a hat? A hat store is a habitat.
Haberdashery.
Haberdashery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, haberdashery. Yeah,
I mean, President Truman had a store like that when he was
that's
before
right.
he
he
became a
did.
senator.
Yeah.
That's how old we are.
Is there a musician that you even at your young age that you really like, that you envy, that you pattern yourself after?
Oh, there's lots of them, I guess. I think probably over the years, I mean, obviously the like the Eagles, I just love Joe Walsh. I mean, way back before he was with the Eagles and that, he's super good. I mean, there's so many good musicians, it's hard to pick one out. I mean, you go back far enough and it was Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin or Jimmy Page and, you know, that kind of thing. But there's just so many good ones today. And all the generations keep bringing up better players. I mean, it just gets better and better, you know. So I'd probably say Joe Walsh would be one of my favorites.
What would you say as a musician your strength is, Bill?
Oh, I would have to say what I hope my strength is whatever music you're playing, whether it's instrumental or vocal or a combination of the two, speaks to people. I mean, if you're singing Save Me by Jelly Roll, that's a whole story in itself of kind of sorrow and brokenness and falling apart. If you can bring that across to the audience, that's a wonderful thing, because there's people out there that feel that. If you're doing something completely different, we'll say something like Celebrate by Kool and the Gang, that's way different. You know, that's a whole different thing. But if you can bring those different emotions to people musically that it speaks to them, you're doing your job.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes wonderfully well. Other times people just aren't into it, and you have to take the good with the bad.
So Bill, obviously, you talked about your other business. What's your other business besides?
I have the Iowa Financial Center building, which really is a financial decisions group. There's about 250 of us in this group, a consortium, if you will, across 8 states. And we're in the financial advisor business, you know, investments, retirements, IRAs, that kind of thing. You can buy stocks, you can buy bonds, financial planning, you name it. We do a little bit of all that kind of thing. So, and I've always liked that. And the whole how I got into this, another boring story, working for a music company out of Des Moines. I was their 9th employee, and today they employ 120, and I think they have 9 stores. But anyway, they had a retirement program, and the person that was handling it for them would never take the time to come out and talk to the employees. Just, too busy. And the owner said, well, you understand this stuff. Would you mind looking this over and then tell the rest of the employees what's going on? So I did that. And within probably about 3 weeks, I got a call from an investment company that says, hey, somebody that works there gave us your name and said you'd like to stand up and talk about investments and how they work and da-da-da. Would you be interested in switching careers? And when I went to UNI, I majored in vocal music, and all my electives I took in business. There wasn't such a thing as double majors back then.
Right.
That's how old I am. I would have tried to major in guitar, but they didn't have that at UNI either back then. So that's kind of how I got into this business, was, going into music, because I could have been a vocal music teacher and decided I didn't want to deal with, I don't want to word this. Running a music department at school would be great, except the powers that be above you that control the purse strings and tell you what you can and can't.
Yeah.
Forget that.
They know
That's
nothing.
why I have my own business today.
There you go. Good for you.
And run a rock band on the side.
Well, sure. It's great. Interesting life you've had, I think.
Well, it's been
a lot of fun,
to say the least. I'll probably keep doing it as long as I enjoy it. You know.
Right, that's great.
Bill, is there anything we haven't asked you that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, probably not. I think I probably hit all the nails on the head, or from your questions, pretty much. I guess I like the idea of being able to do a lot of different kinds of music. I mean, sometimes I'll just sit with an acoustic guitar by myself, in the other room, and I might be maybe writing or working out something new that's kind of a quiet acoustic style song, very low key. Other days, there's all kinds of volume turned up. You got the guitar out, and you're learning all these new licks and tricks and riffs and whatnot as fast as you can, so that when the band gets together, then you can start overlaying on each other and make it work. So I guess I like the different genres that you can deal with, and then also playing at Prairie Lakes Church. I just thoroughly love that because it's a whole. And when I say different, I'm not playing out there for me. If we can reach people with the music and bring them to God at the church, great job. So I've always enjoyed that side of it too.
How long have you been doing the Prairie Lake?
Before they ever opened, Matt Riggers stopped me in a coffee shop one day, and he was telling me what they were going to do. And we had attended Prairie Lakes a few times, even gone down to Lutheran Church of Hope in Des Moines a few times because we just love it. And there wasn't anything like that right in Independence. So when I met Matt Riggers, the pastor there, and he says, we're going to open a church here, another Prairie Lakes church, but it'll be a year or so. I said, well, cool, let's talk a little bit. And I said, way back a million years ago at the Methodist church, I coordinated a band there. So I said, if you need some help or want any advice or something, I'd be glad to help you, whatever you need. Music director. But anyway, so that's how that came about. And I've been there before they ever started, and they started their first services Christmas of 2000.
So one final question, Bill,
Sure.
and we'll get you out of here. If you were to give a young musician advice, what advice would you give them?
Well, I guess a couple things. One, don't get into music thinking it's all going to be fun and games and glamour and you're going to make lots of money. That's not what it's about at all. You have to enjoy the music side of it first. It's like any of the art fields. Can you make money at it? Well, some do, but you're not in it for the money. But if you really want to perform, write music, and play nightclubs and street dances, just keep working at it. You'll get there. It just sometimes takes time, and it also takes the right combination of people if you're doing it with a group. I know we went through a few drummers here a few years ago, a lot quicker than we wanted to. But, you can tell, excellent musician, it just wasn't working. It was a grind for everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa. But no, I would say just stick with it, enjoy it, have fun with it. That's what it's all about. Be free to express yourself and do what makes you happy, and there'll probably be some people you'll be making happy along the way. So
I was going to say thank you very much. That's a good
well,
advice
thank you
for
guys.
everybody,
It was kind of fun. You sit back and look at all the different things you've done. It's like, well, I guess I have done a few musical things over the years.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah. We'd like to finish the show with sort of a trilogy, not a eulogy, a trilogy. A eulogy is done at a funeral, but a trilogy of a man that Dale and I worked with at Jesup Schools, Rick Whittenburg, rural Tripola, 72 years old, passed away Monday, April 25th at Unity Point Allen Memorial Hospital in Waterloo, Iowa. Rick was born June 10th, 1951 in Waterloo, the son of Elmer and Marlis Whittenburg. He was baptized and confirmed in the Lutheran faith. He graduated from Tripola High School and Coe College. He was a teacher and a coach by education and a farmer by heart. He lived a life to celebrate hard work, faith, quick wit, and a healthy sprinkle of spontaneity and socializing laid the foundation for a life he truly and fully enjoyed. Rick is survived by 4 daughters and their families: Melissa, Eric, Mason, Cameron, and Rowan, Sarah, Jim, Rise, and Arthur, Megan, Bo, Braxton, and Xander and Teddy, Stacy, Chris, and Giovanni. He also was a loving older brother to Roxy, Renee, Rayla, and Rochelle. So our sympathy goes to his family there. A little bit about Rick. I can remember meeting him. I met him the day I interviewed at Jesup.
Okay.
It was the day after the students got out in May. Would that have been 84, I think, 83, right in there. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. Whittenburg was pushing Pat Roast down the hall in a chair, on a roller chair, and Sydenham was pushing, there was a librarian named Fox.
Yep.
And he was pushing Mrs. Fox down the hall. They were having chair races down the hall. You know that both Sydenham and Rose, all three, Sydenham, Rose, and Whittenburg would have yelled at the kids for doing that.
Yeah.
But they were laughing. And that's the first time that I ever met Rick.
Yeah. He's a big smile guy.
He was
He
had a giant smile. Like all coaches, I shared an office with him, and he always had time to talk. I always had a great laugh, or I always shared life about his family.
Yeah, some really good girls volleyball teams, right? For several years there, he coached volleyball, as I remember.
Yeah, he did. Jay Donnelly and that group that were so good at that level. Brenda Youngblood was on that team. A number of those kids. And his daughters were incredible volleyball players.
Tripola?
At Tripola. Matter of fact, one of his daughters was the volleyball player of the year in Iowa.
Okay.
And they were on multiple state championship teams at Tripola. I can remember Rick sneaking out of a couple of parent-teacher conferences to go to the state tournament to watch them play. And Mr. Jesse turned it in his back as Rick was sneaking out the door. So he was very caring for other people. He was involved in the union. He was union president for a couple of years. One of the things that jumps out at me, and I'll never forget, when I was my first year of teaching, I substituted and then coached 3 sports. And one day I was whining that I was getting tired of getting popcorn and pancakes every day. You know, it was the end of the month, and I didn't have a lot of money. And Rick must have took off after school and went to the grocery store, because about 5 o'clock, a knock came at my door. I was living out in the Gunhoose's apartment out there by the golf course.
Okay.
By Darryl Rach lived out in that area.
I know what you're talking about.
And a knock came at the door, and Rick had $100 worth of groceries.
Yeah, that was a lot of groceries in those days.
Back when $100 bought a lot of groceries.
Yeah.
I ate well there for a while.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And very few people know this, but there was a family in the community that needed to roof their house and Rick gave $5,000 to that family.
Is that right?
To roof their house.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Very few people know that, and Rick didn't tell me that. The family told me that.
Yeah.
He worked hard. He worked hard on the farm. He worked hard to be a good father and a good brother. He took pride in his daughters. When he retired, he enjoyed his retirement.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
He enjoyed his retirement. One of the things he did, one of the last times I saw Rick, he brought his motorcycle to my house. And, he died at 72. That was probably 2 years ago. He was 70 years old, still riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like all people, I guess none of us gonna get out alive, Dale.
That's what they tell me. So.
Yeah. The Rick will be missed. With that said, we're gonna let you go early. Steve Brown Art Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. Thanks to Bill Lake for being on with us tonight. If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, either email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber. Thanks to producer Blake Tempus and Kelly Cias. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day. Remember, each day is about little victories.